Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the free daily coaching hangout. My name is Bert Bledsoe, and each and every morning we do a free daily coaching hangout on Monday through Fridays. Is when we do that. We do it at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So you may be catching this replay over on YouTube. You may be watching this video as it's attached to a blog post or on one of our video hosting sites. I want to encourage you to visit us over at www.freedailycoaching.com. When you go over there and visit us, you can actually register for the live webinar. You can actually interact with us here. We can say good morning to you. You can ask questions. And a lot of times we bring people over and interact one-on-one live, and we want to be able to do that with you. So visit us, like I mentioned, over at www.freedailycoaching.com. Pretty exciting week. It's Christmas week for those that celebrate Christmas. It's a really festive time. It's an exciting time for many. And for many, it's a time of reflection. It's a time of longing and remembering of times gone past, right? And so for some of the people that are experiencing this time of year in the holidays, it's not always as joyous for some. And the reason I'm talking about this is because this morning I want to talk about personal growth and how important really is it. And I want to give you each a gift. I want to share with you something that I've used along the way that might be of benefit to you. And so let's talk about personal growth a little bit this morning, and let's talk about it especially at this time of year. And the reason that I want to bring this up at this time of the year is because not too long ago, right around this time, is when I made this jump. I made this move to working full-time from a home, from really going from an employee to being a home-based business owner and really trying to make a move in a different direction. Now, looking back, that's what I was doing then, just trying. Right now, when I can look back in retrospect, I can see that I was taking the action. And I want to show you what I did and take the same steps. And one of the most important steps along the way for myself was personal growth and how I had to develop as a person, as a human being first. And that allowed my business, that allowed my company to be able to flourish. And why was that so important? Well, there were some lessons that I had not entirely grasped in life that were required for me to move forward. That was just the way it is. And I'm not talking about semantics, about business lessons, about how to run, accounts receivable and post billables and how to invoice and all of that. I'm not talking about any of that, okay? What I'm talking about is how to treat people, how to actually have real customer service, how to go out and teach other people how to have success. That's what I had to learn. And so what did I have to learn? Well, I had to learn how to allow myself to experience success. I had to go out and create success for myself so that I knew what that looked like so that I could share it with other people. So I had to do some personal growth. And at this time of the year, especially right now in our business, what we're doing and what we're doing with other people and helping others right now is this thing, this gift that I want to share with you this morning is so important. It's so profound that that I want you to have it. I want you to go out and get it right away. And so that's why I'm going to share this. Now, I normally don't, I don't always share some of the more personal things that I do behind the scenes. And this book that I read, and I've mentioned this book before, but I want to tell you guys how profound this book was. I started on this idea of personal growth and personal development because of this book, because there was something that was stirred inside me when I read a book. Imagine what you could do in life because of one simple idea. because someone gives you an idea, because you had an idea. Imagine what you could go out and do, what you could go out and accomplish. You know, it's been an amazing journey thus far for myself and for my wife. And not too long ago at this time, I had just recently quit my job that I had for several years. That was my stable means of income. I had just started a multi-level marketing opportunity, and I had signed up just a few reps, and I had a couple of customers. And I quit everything, and I said, I'm going to go and do this. And I was so scared. I was so afraid that I wasn't going to have the skill sets required to get to my goals. I was so afraid that I was going to let my family down, that my wife was going to think that I was a loser, that I was a failure if I didn't succeed. I was so afraid that my son was going to look at me as, an idiot. Why would you quit doing something that you were doing successfully and give up for a chance? And I had all of those fears. But what I did recognize was that personal development, this personal growth, these people that were pouring into themselves and becoming better people, they were having success. They were literally achieving the results that other people were talking about. And I was looking at people around that were big, right? Not just like, oh, this guy did he sold $50,000 of product in a company online or something. I'm not talking about that. And I'm not saying that that's not good, that that's not a great example. But what I'm talking about is I was looking at like people that everyone had known, that I was like, those people are just normal people. A guy like Robert Kiyosaki, has this huge Rich Dad Poor Dad brand. He went through bankruptcy. He had challenges in his marriage. He had he lived through war. Like, this guy is a normal guy, right? Look at people like Anthony Robbins, this huge motivational speaker, this person that, well, what makes him so motivational to everyone? What is it? It's because he took the actions required and he's walked through those challenges, and now he's able to share that with you. That's what's so powerful about Tony Robbins, right? It's not just because he just made up some stuff and then told everyone this is how it is. It's because he's taken these ideas and these concepts and these principles from all different kinds of teachers, and then he's actually applied them in his life. He stood at the event where I saw him speak and said, who do you think created this Anthony Robbins guy? I did, he said. I created this. That's what's so important. You can create whatever you want to create. You can become the person that you want to become. When you had this idea when you were a little kid that you wanted to be the person that was able to pick up the guy on the side of the road that was pushing his bike, or buy a guy a gallon of milk at the grocery because you could afford the extra gallon of milk, or give a loaf of bread to the kids down the road because you know that their family is struggling. Or maybe you wanted to be the person that didn't have to have keys to a house, and you got to travel all across the United States and all across the world, and that was your dream, but you gave up. Maybe your dream was to be a baseball player when you're a kid, and now you're 53 and that's never gonna be real, to be a pro baseball player. But that doesn't mean you can't go to the batting cages every week. Shit, excuse my language, you could go every morning if you wanted for exercise. What if, while everyone else was running and doing jazzercise and cardio and all this other things, what if you, because your dream was to be a baseball player, what if you just went to the batting cages every day and swung the bat, played your game? Personal growth is available in so many areas. It's available in your spiritual life. It's available in your emotional life. And it's available in your physical life. Think about that. In your physical world, what does that look like? What does personal growth look like in your physical world? Well, maybe in your physical world, you want to become a faster runner. Maybe you want to run longer. Maybe you want to learn how to dance. Maybe you want to lose 5 pounds. Maybe you want to gain 5 pounds. Maybe you want longer hair. Maybe you want a big fun mustache, right? In your physical world, where are you able to personally grow and develop? Now, I'm not saying that growing a big mustache or growing your hair longer is necessarily going to make you grow as a person. But I'm saying that those are steps that you could take towards developing and starting that personal growth. And those are the physical world, right? That's the physical elements. Losing weight, getting in shape, feeling better. Why are those important things? Not because of how you look, not because of what the rest of the world thinks, but for yourself as a person. You know, not very many people know this. And people, even when I tell them this, they're like, really? And they could totally, this is the funny part. The other day I was telling a good friend of mine this, that didn't know this about my past. And they said, well, I could totally imagine you doing that, Bert, but I could never imagine that your wife participated in that type of behavior. And I want to tell you in an area that I don't know what it is now, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I smoked cigarettes at the rate of about 2 packs a day. And my wife probably smoked like a half a pack a day or something. That was an area of personal growth, right? I didn't do it because of you, because of the other people, because people thought it was dirty and it smelled and all that. I did it so I could grow as a person, right? I did it so I could live a better way of life, so I could live healthier for myself. Why? Why do we lose weight? Why do we want to look better, right? Live better. We want to look better mostly for other people. But what I'm suggesting is, what if you did this for you? Because this is the reality. Personal growth in the physical part isn't about what you look like. It's about what you feel like. It's about what you feel like. And are you doing the things in your life to make you feel good? Do you wake up every day and think in your mind's eye, in your self voice, does every day your voice tell you that you're lazy? Because if it does, then how do you get rid of that voice? And that negative voice is get up and go do something. That's personal growth. That's in the physical area. Right now, let's look at the emotional area. What are you doing emotionally to grow, to feed yourself, to become a better person? What does that look like? Well, maybe you're overly empathetic or sympathetic, and you need to be more, you need to have a bigger backbone, right? You need to draw lines and boundaries. Maybe that's where you need to emotionally develop. Or maybe you're on the opposite. Maybe you're not very compassionate. Maybe you're not very empathetic. Maybe that's an area that you need to grow in. What I suggest, and what I'm suggesting today for personal growth, is one area, one method to cover multiple different areas. One method of personal growth is literature, is a book, is something that you could read information, ingest that information so that you could then apply what it is that you read, right? And there's this third area, this spiritual area of personal growth. So we have this emotional, right? This physical and this spiritual. And in the physical, that could be the mental part, right? That could be learning and developing and growing and learning new skills. And maybe you learn how to skydive, or you learn how to type, or, right? That could be the physical, could be a mental skill that you learned, right? We talked about a little bit about emotional growth, about how we can look into how it is that we're feeling, and how we're experiencing the world may not be accurate. Maybe we're bringing baggage and old information and old ideas into what we're doing today that's not allowing us that personal growth, that's not allowing us to be the version of us that we should be, the best version of us that we have to offer to the world. Think about it like that. Like, what if you could be the best version of you for the world, not for your wife or for your kid, or so you could look good, but because the world, the universe deserves the best version of you. And that's why we do this personal growth. That's why personal development, personal growth is so important, in my opinion. Why? Because we constantly are interacting with the rest of the world. So isn't it of a benefit to us, really, if we figure out what it is that could be most beneficial to the world. And are we all gonna fall short of that mark? Are we all gonna not serve and not be the best version and not do everything that we could do on some days? Yes. And then sometimes are we gonna fall short? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why we do things like personal development exercises. That's why we continue, or that's why I do, to continue to have personal growth in my repertoire, in what I'm doing. So let me roll back here and find this book. I don't know if it's on that shelf because we moved books from shelf to shelf. And I took the cover off of this book that I want to show you guys. I don't think it's on that shelf. I think it's on this shelf up here. So let me look. Oh, I found it, I think. Hold on. Let me move to my other shelf here, guys and gals. Oh, that's not it. Oh, right here. Here we go. Ow. All right, so the jacket got put back on it. That's why I didn't notice it. So this is a book that I want to share with everyone, and this book, this is what started. Okay, this is what started it all. This book. Okay, this book that I'm going to show you. Now, I'm going to show you this book, and some people are going to be maybe repelled. Some people might say, well, Bert, I don't believe in that. I'm not going to do that. And you can believe whatever you want to believe, and you can follow whomever you want to follow. I'm just sharing my experience with you that this book specifically, it changed my life. Okay? This book, when I read it, set in motion a series of actions that I was able to take, that I took, that have led me to this point, that led me to the point to say, hey, maybe I'm supposed to share this, and not just share it as like an idea, but have a whole entire webinar about personal growth and about how one book could change the way that you're living your life, how one book could shape the way that your business turns in 2016, how one book could shape how you start to change the world that you're living in. And when you change the world that you're living in, the people around you, their lives start to change as well. So I want to read a couple of things that it says on the back cover. It says, most of us aren't in danger of ruining our lives. Most of us aren't even in danger of ruining our lives. We're in danger of wasting them. Think about that. Most of us aren't in danger of ruining our lives. We're not. But what we are is we're in danger of wasting them. I want you to know that this is a book that has helped me in my personal and physical, in the physical area. It helped me in the emotional area, and it helped me in the spiritual area. And in this specific example is a spiritual book. It's a book, right? It's a book that was written by a man of God, a spiritual man. And I want you to know that going in. So greater will give you the confidence to know that nothing is impossible with God, the clarity to see the next step he's calling you to take, and the courage to do anything he tells you to do. And I would encourage you to read this book, whatever your base, whatever your faith, whatever your belief system, and use this as a guide, as a template, okay? As a template for you to put into some actions, okay? I want you to start doing what it says on the front cover of this book. It says, dream bigger. Start smaller. Ignite God's vision for your life. And I don't know what you call it, and I don't know how you define it. And I'm not really interested in getting into that debate, because wherever you're at, then I appreciate that. And I say, stick with that, right? So here's the book, okay? It's called Greater. It's by Steven Furtick. And you've heard me refer to this book before if you've watched anything I've done. If you've seen any of my webinars, if you've heard personal recommendations on reading material, I always recommend this one book. And I decided this morning that it was a day to make a webinar about this book, about the book Greater by Steven Furtick, about personal growth and how important it is. You know, I got the opportunity after I read this book to hear this man speak, Steven Furtick, and I was able to, after I heard him speak, I literally was able to go and do about a 45-minute audio recording to myself. And that audio has served as a guide sometimes to go back and listen to hear myself, to reaffirm to myself that the path that I'm taking, that the steps that I will take to build my business, to grow as a person, to develop emotionally and spiritually and physically and mentally, to do that, I have to be greater, right? Greater than the labels I was given when I was a little kid, right? Greater than the cynicism that settles in me as I get older, right? Greater than the dreams that I dreamed for myself. Greater than even the greatest moment that you already had in your life. What if it was going to even get greater for you? What if that's how you lived your life every day? For a greater purpose, for a greater vision, for a greater experience, that it was coming. Because you know what? When I read this book, I thought, wow, I've had some really great experiences. I've had some amazing experiences in life. Watching the birth of my son, I have got to tell you, was an amazing experience. To be able to see the life that I was a part of, and that was like, whoa, that's a baby, and I'm a part of it. That I gave to the planet back and created life, right? Like, what an amazing experience. I thought that I had had so many great moments. And yet I read this book and realized that the greatness that was to be achieved is still yet to come, that the journey had just begun, that I had just barely woken up to see a few things in my own personal growth, in my own personal development, that I wanted to continue to move forward, that I wanted to share this with other people, that it doesn't matter if you thought you were broken before. It doesn't matter if you failed before. It doesn't matter if you made a series of bad decisions that got you to the place that you're at right now. Because right now, in this moment, there's a greater reason. There's a greater purpose for you. The question is, if you're not in danger of ruining anything and it's just going to keep on going, but you are in danger of wasting this opportunity, wasting this time, the question is, are you going to become greater? Are you going to become the greater version of yourself, the better version of you? And every day I battle, and probably you do too. Every day, that guy in my head, the voice inside says, it's okay, Bert. You don't have to exercise today. It's okay to get complacent, but it's not okay. It's not okay for me. Why? Because I have a greater purpose, because there's a greater purpose on the planet to go out and share with other people. And if I need to share, and that's a purpose, then I have to take care of myself, right? We have to take care of ourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. In all of these areas, we have to grow as people on a continual basis. You know, I remember having conversations with my great grandma when I was a little boy, and she was so smart. She was so wise. This is the lady that just whipped everyone. in Scrabble every single time. Her vocabulary was voracious. She was absolutely an amazing woman. And that lady said to me, Bert, if you don't learn something every day, then you didn't do your full day. Every day you need to learn something. And then my great grandma, right? And then my great grandma told me that day what she had learned. And she told me, did you know that? And she told me a specific story about a local place because we were in my grandfather's house. And she had told me a story about a local farmer that was like going out of business because all of the properties around him had scaled up into these like complexes of homes. And so he was pretty much being squashed out. And then she told me this whole thing about a whole story about how she grew up on a farm and the covered, not the covered wagons, but the little buggies, horse and buggy that she would go to town. So I learned a lesson. And that lesson was that we had to continue to personally grow, no matter what, and for always. So this book, it changed my life. It lit a fire inside of me. And sometimes I need to refocus, just like many of us do. And that's why we do personal growth and personal development exercises. That's why we're doing this morning, to refocus, to recenter and say, hey, you know what? I have a mission. There was a reason that I started doing all this. There's a reason that I was willing to literally, after I read this book, I literally went to hear this man speak. And on returning from hearing him speak, I walked into the office of my boss and said, I'm out, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm going to do my own thing. So if you're ready to step up, if you want to do some personal development, if you're ready to dive into some personal growth and you're wondering, hey, is it important? I believe it's the most important thing that you can do. To become a better version of you is the best thing that everyone could hope for. Everyone around you, everyone that you affect will be blessed because you're a better person. And I'm not a religious man by any means, but I'm spiritual. And I want to share this book with you. Why? Because there's a spiritual message in this book. There's a message of hope. There's a message of growth. There's a message of power in this book if you're willing to ingest this information. And then, are you willing to take the action? Are you willing to follow your heart? Are you willing to follow the greater calling that you felt, that you had? Because you know what? I felt it. I had it for a long time, and I kept on squishing it down. I kept on not taking the action. Why? Because I was afraid. Why? Because of fear. Why? Because of doubt. Because I wasn't smart enough. Because I wasn't good looking enough. Because I wasn't educated enough. Because I didn't have the emotional aptitude enough. Because I didn't have the empathy to care about other people. Because I didn't have the ability to teach. Because of all those things were excuses. Those were all excuses that I made up in my mind to not allow myself to become the greater version of me, to experience even greater moments in life. I'm going to tell you what, this is kind of opposite in timeline for many people, right? Usually you get married and then you have kids. So I'm going to tell you a story about how I got married after, right? Years after, decades after Wyatt was born, after my son is born. I told you about this moment that I had that was an amazing moment. And yet I changed. I had multiple epiphanies, multiple times that I changed as a person by reading this book. And when I did, I had moments where I said, how could it be greater? How could I have any greater moments than what I've experienced? And let me tell you, I've had greater moments with my son than just seeing him be born since from that point, from the time of reading this book until today. I've had greater moments in life that I could ever imagine. I want to tell you that this guy that didn't have the greatest self-esteem, that had done made some poor choices in life, that hadn't lived up to the potential that he wanted to live up to. I'll tell you that guy he was able to stand just a few feet away from literally the most beautiful woman on the planet. And I was able to tell that lady that I loved her, and she looked in my eyes and told me that she loved me too. And I knew in that moment that this lady and I were like connected, like this was it. That was a moment that was greater than anything. It was a greater moment than anything I had ever experienced to that point. You see, I didn't know that those types of life experiences were still possible. I didn't know that a person that had made mistakes, a person that didn't fulfill all their dreams, a person that didn't always think they were the best, I didn't know that that person could turn into something even greater. Maybe that's how you feel. Maybe you're like I was. Maybe there's times where you don't feel like you made all the best decisions. Maybe there's times where you feel like you should have, could have, and would have. Well, if that's how you feel, I'm here to tell you that there's something bigger, there's something greater, and you can do something bigger with yourself and with your life if you choose to. If you choose to, if you decide and you make a decision and couple that decision with action, and you do that on a consistent basis, you can achieve a greater life, a greater experience. And with personal growth, you can get there. And this is just one area of personal growth. This is just one way you could do it, is grab a book. There's so many other ways that you can start to apply personal development and personal growth into your life. This morning, we talked about just one simple method of reading a book. We talked about this specific book by Pastor Stephen Furtick. It's F-U-R-T-I-C-K if you're just listening to the audio. The name of the book is Greater. Later this afternoon, when you go over to the BurtBledsoe.com or freedailycoaching.com, and we have a post on this, you'll be able to find a link to be able to go over and grab the book if you want to grab a copy. Guys, I don't know what this is. It's $20, okay? In the US, it's $19.99, okay? It's $20. If you go out and buy the book and you read the book, okay? This is for anyone that's watching this. If you go and get this book and then you read this book and it was horrible and it doesn't change your life and it's not what I said it was, send me an email. Show me that you bought the book, okay? Just send me a copy of your receipt that you actually bought the book. Show me you have the book. Send me a picture that you actually got it, that I see that you've got the book. And then literally, if at that point you've read it, everything is bogus and you didn't like it, email me, and I'll send you $20. I'll buy the copy of the book off you and you can send it to me, right? I'll take it off your hands. So that's how important personal growth and personal development is. I think it's the most important thing, unless you're already a fully developed, actualized human. And if that's the case, then you're probably already achieving massive success in most areas of your life. And if that's the case, then hey, reach out to me. Let me know what it is that you're doing. I'd love to feature you on Free Daily Coaching. I'd love to implement some of the methods and strategies that you're using in personal growth and personal development. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us this morning at freedailycoaching.com. I see you guys out there this morning. I want to say hi, Whitman and Mario, Judy and Lee, Steve and Chris and the Summers ladies. Mr. KB is out there. Sue and Sarah, I see you two ladies. All of you visiting over from YouTube, good morning. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you the next time.